Hey folks, Jonathan here. Alright, I sure wish I could get back to doing some filming when I do these wrecks, but you know, I try to get my mind on what I'm doing, and I don't think about it a whole lot when I'm, you know, rolling on to the wreck and getting the wreck. I'm more worried about getting the road cleared and all that good stuff, because you know, wrecker driver, then when you're doing wrecks like this, basically you're a road janitor. So anyway, I got some bad ones, quite a few bad ones here lately, but now I don't show any wrecks if there was any fatality at all. So none of these are fatalities, and I'll tell you how well the people come out of these things. You'd be surprised. But anyway, here's one. 2014 Chevrolet pickup truck, and you can see from the bed something heavy in there. I guess it looks like a jack come up and hit the front. So he hit a tree, and I don't know how fast he was going, but he was really moving on. Now this guy was out and walking around, so you know, I know it looks really bad. This is where the tree was, and you figure, hopefully you can tell this, but the tree basically stopped at the top of the windshield, and the engine is no longer there. It's kind of crazy because down here, you can see it good when I had it on the rollback. But so here's the frame, and there's the transmission part of it, and then here's where the engine should be, but there's no engine there. I guess it's pushed it up and back. It's just completely smashed and obliterated. So it's just hard to believe this guy was out walking around, and this was completely wrapped around the tree. And I'll show you the drive shaft. So I'm just getting unloaded here, and you can see the bed of the truck. I hadn't cleaned it off yet. So here's part of the drive shaft there, and this is part of the drive shaft. That's what it done. As you can see, there's just nothing left there. And I think there's some transmission parts. So this is the kind of mess I get into. There's the front end. As you can see, the ring and pinion for the front axle. I guess that's part of the front end too. This is where it kicks into four-wheel drive, in and out your front axle. So it's all busted to pieces, busted the axles. And then, you know, of course we got to clean the messes up. So, I mean, it buckled the whole entire truck. So that impact was just crazy. It's just unbelievable that this guy's even alive. And there was a little rust on the frame on this thing, but it wasn't that major. We don't usually get that a lot, where you'll see the rockers are rusty on it. This, like I said, a 14. Normally, if it was a North Carolina truck, it wouldn't be rusty like that. So it's absolutely from up north, but probably a military. Smashed it bad. Alright, so next one. This was today. I'll show you yesterday mornings. Yesterday afternoon I picked up a motorcycle, and then yesterday morning got this one. Okay, and this guy was driving down the road, and no fault of his own, absolutely no fault of his own, 86 years old, a tree fell while he was driving, and it started right here, and he couldn't get stopped quick enough, and it got the windshield. Now he did duck, and he did get a little bit of head injury, but you know, it's not life-threatening or anything like that. So very lucky man here, and hopefully he's, you know, everything will be fine with him. He's still in the hospital, but he's doing good, so I don't think there's going to be any issues there. Let me see, we got one here that hit a pole. Now it's up against the pole, but it's not the pole that it hit. This guy here, I'll tell you what, this is how this stuff works. It's kind of weird. So this guy was drunk, and he had a dog with him. Now this is my car now, but he had a dog with him, and because he had a dog with him, he didn't get arrested, because they would have had to deal with having a dog putting a pound. There's just so much to it. So he actually wrote him out the tickets and all that stuff, and I took the guy home. But the guy was hurting pretty bad, and he had bled a lot. I mean, there was blood all over the place, and he'd walk around his car, and I mean, there was a lot of blood. But the guy wanted to be taken to a store, and the store was closed, and well, he knew it was closed, of course, but I didn't really want to leave him there, because when somebody's drinking, sometimes they don't do the smartest things. So I didn't want to take a chance on them. I don't want to leave somebody that's in a vulnerable situation, or something can happen to them. So I ended up taking him all the way home and dropping him off. And then turns out it's lucky I did, because right after I dropped him off, I guess they had to rush him to the hospital. He was bleeding internally. And if he would have had to walk the 3/4 of a mile to a mile home from where he was wanting me to drop him off at, I got a feeling he probably wouldn't have made it. And so I took him and his dog home, and everything worked out good. And he come by about 3 days later, 2 days later, and they had to open him up all the way, and they had staples all the way down his chest and down through his stomach, and where they had just completely opened him. I mean, he was complaining, and you know, I'll be honest with you, this is what he told me. He said, I felt like I had to use the bathroom but couldn't. And he told me that while we was at the wreck. And so but he did refuse certain, treatment from the EMTs and stuff, so which, probably is not a smart thing. This was a pretty hard impact to do that much damage. So anyway, and I'll show you too, like I said, it's my car. So he was so worried about the police seeing him. As you can see, his brake lights were stuck on, so he beat the bulbs out of the car. And these LEDs, he didn't get them out, even though he beat on it like that. They were still on. So he tried to hide the fact that he wrecked, which would have been even worse. Guy's lucky to be alive. So, but you get all kinds. It's just the way it is. All right, here's another Chevrolet. This is a 2015. Smacked in the front real hard, and we finished up all the paperwork on this one, so this one's probably going to be ours. I'm surprised he didn't pick it up, but for some reason the insurance company didn't, and which is fine with me, because that's a good parts vehicle. So this one here was just driving down the road, and another car hydroplaned and got in his lane and hit him head on. But I'll tell you about something about a wreck. The big car always wins, and this one, and the guy didn't get hurt at all. And the little car, the guy got hurt some, but I mean, it wasn't fatal. Plenty more. Here's a Jeep. Now this one, the guy put in well, I assume it was a guy. Could have been a lady. So put it in the ditch and hit a tree, and had to drag it out. Wasn't too bad. Hey folks, people don't have insurance. 2013 Chevrolet, what is this thing? Envoy? Chevrolet Traverse. Yeah, Chevrolet Traverse. Good parts car, but that's about it. Hit it to the right here and ripped it off, ripped the wheel off of it. Yeah, I get a lot of stuff like this. Alright. So it's gotten now to where a lot of times I don't even want to get into the cars at all. There's so much problems with fentanyl and other drugs and needles, and not every one of them, don't get me wrong, but I mean, there's a lot of cars that come out that way, and I don't want to get in there and get a hold of the wrong stuff, because some of these people that or cars I pick up, the people actually OD going down the road, and it's a pretty big thing nowadays. But last thing I want to do is get a hold of any of that stuff. So a lot of times I won't even try to put them in neutral or anything. I'll just hook to them and drag them on. They're wrecked anyway, so it really don't matter. Here is a, what is this? A Buick with the wheels tore off. Another one. And now most of these, not all of them, but most of these that I'm showing you is stuff that I've got stuck with. A lot of the insurance company cars has already been picked up. And just like this one, luckily they brought me the title. This is a Ford police car. And 4.6, I'm assuming. Tore all the crap. It's even got a plastic seat. The entire seat's plastic. So I still got the spotlight. Hit a telephone pole, and it broke the telephone pole. So anyway, still got siren on it. Here's a pretty GMC 94 model. Believe it or not, this thing flipped, rolled, and slid for a long ways. And you can see it ground all the way through in some spots. And tore the roof up bad. This was a step side, short bed. Ripped the rear end out of it, snapped the axle off. So this guy pulled out in front of somebody else crossways, and I think the guy hit him back here. And when he hit him, it spun this guy around and rolled him over, and then he slid for a ways. So we were both moving on pretty fast. And of course it had a bed cover over it. And this flipped over in the in front of Bojangles. And they had a ditch out front with a riprap, big rock in it. So it was on its roof. And I don't know what's going to happen with it. Like I said, it's sometimes they pick them up and sometimes they don't. So we'll see. But anyway, the point is everybody needs to be careful out there. Texting, doing stupid stuff, drinking and driving, distracted driving, being in too big of a hurry. I see it all. Motorcycles. Here recent, been picking up quite a few motorcycles. And I know it's summertime, but you know, people say, well, I'm a good driver, I'm a good driver. Well, it don't matter how good of a driver you are. Sometimes you got to be a good avoider. And if you're not moving, you can't avoid nothing. If you're sitting still, you know, somebody runs into you. I mean, sometimes you just can't get out of the way. And so, you know, these guys on these motorcycles, you know, I had one the other day that come around a curve, and in the road was a bucket truck doing a U-turn. And it was a, you know, a big company bucket truck. This wasn't a, you know, a mom and pops or you know, the dude down the road. This was a big company. Guy should have never been doing a U-turn in the middle of the road where he was doing it at. And the motorcycle come around the turn, and I think the guy on the motorcycle was speeding, but that's no excuse for somebody to be in your lane, you know. So he hit it, it dented the bumper, and I mean, luckily it didn't, you know, the guy didn't get hurt real bad. But here lately we've had quite a few motorcycle wrecks, and like I said, I got a Motor Guzzi yesterday. That's the first one I've ever picked up. Familiar with the bikes, but never picked one up before. But anyway, so there you go. It's what I've been doing, you know, besides all the other stuff I've been doing. So a lot of these come in the middle of the night, you know, in the morning, in the evening, and you know, you never know. So that's why being on call 24/7, it's a rough job, and it's more of a lifestyle. You know, it's something you gotta, I don't know, it takes a different kind of person. You can't just put them off. You can't say, well, it's after 5 o'clock. A lot of times you'll be driving by the garages and they'll be closed, and you're thinking, wow, you know, how nice it would be to just completely be able to forget about everything and, you know, put your mind on something completely different. So I sort of have to be home most of the time. So anyway, but with that said, Friday I'm going to Turnersburg. I'm going to be at the Spokes and Cleats tractor show Friday, and me and my son, and he don't have to work because it's a Friday, and Friday's my birthday, so we're going to run up there and try to enjoy a day with Ron Gooden, the guy that owns the place, and see if there's something up there we can buy. Maybe don't get real lucky on Steam stuff, but you know, there's not ever that much for sale. But I do have some Steam stuff coming up, and should have a video out on the Studebaker by the weekend. So, all right. Appreciate everybody watching. Till next time. Bye. Stay safe.